won't let my mother be in my daughter's life.
Keep her out.
Build a fence. I, 23 female, am currently 27 weeks pregnant with my first child. I found out in January 2025 that me and my boyfriend, 23 male, were expecting our first child, and we were absolutely over the moon with joy and happiness. We both had concerns we may not be able to have children. My concern's more due to overthinking than anything else. By the way, this comes from user ICReference2799, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
I'm Riley.
And OP says, my mom, 45 female, and I have always had a rocky relationship. She always would talk badly about my dad's side of the family, specifically my grandmother, who raised me from the age of 6 until she passed away when I was 17. We won't even get into the drama she caused when my grandmother had passed away. Now, this next part I'm only adding in for context as to how my mother can be. When I was 19 years old, I decided I was ready to get my first tattoo, which happened to be for my grandmother who raised me. I posted it online, excited, just because not only was it my first tattoo, but I had family members related to my grandmother, as well as some of her close friends on Facebook. Mostly everyone was supportive, even both of my mom's sisters. But my mom saw it and made a comment publicly about how I had another grandmother that had passed away. Instead of feeding into what was clearly an attempt at gathering sympathy or attention where everyone could see, I messaged her privately, letting her know she had no right or reason to comment that on a post that had nothing to do with it. She ended up going off on me, as well as saying my drinker of a dad and something along the lines of me honoring a woman who stole me from her.
What is she talking about?
She is upset that I think OP got a tattoo of her paternal grandmother.
Yeah, and she's like, you're my daughter.
And she's like, yeah,
You
well,
don't even love me.
You had a grandma on my side too, and she's gone.
She doesn't have a tattoo on your body.
Where's her tattoo?
Only give tattoos to the grandparents you like.
I tried to defend myself, as well as my family, who, mind you, when my parents were together, did everything they could to make my mom feel included and loved. And along the way, my mom told me to go F myself and blocked me. You gotta love it when the trash takes itself out.
Yeah, good riddance.
A few months later, she ended up unblocking me, and I told her my boundaries about being in my life and things that I wouldn't tolerate her saying. Fast forward to now, I was so excited about my pregnancy, and at the time, we both had a somewhat normal relationship with one another, so I was especially excited to share the news with my mom. Mind you, I am my mom's only child as well as her only daughter. I told my mom in the beginning that I didn't want it posted or announced anywhere that I was pregnant due to being afraid of the chance of a lost pregnancy, especially since I've heard it's bad luck to tell a lot of people early on, which at first she respected.
I will say, like, future reference, when you have someone who you have kind of a rocky relationship with who's already kind of shown that they're not to be that trusted on social media, maybe we wait until we're ready for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Before we tell her.
When your mom's
as
a
excited as you
boundary
are.
stomper.
Yes.
She's making that. Oof, never mind, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, she's stomping the boundaries.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
You got to expect that she's going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
In early February, my mom sent me a message telling me to text or call my grandfather, her dad. At the time, I was at a doctor's appointment with my boyfriend, so I told her I wasn't able to at the current moment due to being at the doctor's, but that I would get a hold of him later once I was done. She immediately told me how my grandfather was trying to get a hold of me and how he's about to be a great-grandfather, so he's obviously just excited. I told her once again I'd be able to message him later and that in the current moment, I was busy. She proceeded to tell me how I should be able to make time to speak with him, considering he's in his 70s and who knows how long he has left on this earth to talk to his granddaughter, to which I told her I'm aware of just how fast it can be to lose a family member, seeing as by this point in time, I'd not only lost both of my grandmothers, but my great-grandmom and one of my other grandfathers. I told her that guilt-tripping me, as well as gaslighting me, was not going to make me message anyone faster, especially when I myself have a lot going on. She proceeded to tell me that it wasn't gaslighting to remind me of how family was important, and that I must not care when it comes to her side of the family. Darvo, right? Was that Darvo? Deny. What is that? Accuse? And then reverse victim offender.
Deny, attack, reverse
Deny,
victim,
attack.
and offender.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, I wasn't gaslighting you. You just don't care about your family.
You hate me.
And I guess I suck.
You're attacking me.
Keep in mind, Most of my life, I wasn't even in contact with her side of the family due to her actions, and only just recently got more in contact with them. I told her that I cherish the fact that I still have 2 living grandfathers and don't take either one of them for granted, but that the phone goes both ways, and he could also reach out to me. She responded that sometimes I need to be the one to make the effort. I told her that it was in fact gaslighting to tell me, while I'm already in an emotional state, that my grandfather doesn't have much time left to speak to his granddaughter, and that I don't mean anything I've said in a rude way.
I don't know if it's gaslighting, but it is guilt tripping.
Yeah. She told me I was being straight up rude and disrespectful, and that my boyfriend means more than anyone else because in the end, that's all you have, right? Girl, shut up. I'm at the doctor for the baby
That's
that I'm
not
gonna have.
just boyfriend. That's baby daddy.
Shut your mouth, Mom.
That's baby daddy.
Or if that is your real name, because you didn't freaking raise me. It was my dad's mom, my
Shoo-shoo.
grandmother, who raised me.
Shoo fly. I don't want to talk
Shut
to you
your
anymore.
freaking mouth. Blocked, literally. Block. I'll unblock you after my doctor's appointment. I informed her at this point she was just disrespecting me and taking things a completely different way than what was meant, and that once she was done with this childish act, she'd be able to have updates about me and my child's life. She proceeded to tell me how my other family did a good job at keeping her out of my life, and how I can keep my ignorant attitude here in the state I live where it belongs. Then told me that she hopes me and my baby have a great life. Blocked. She said some more things that ultimately hurt deep down because I was always fighting for a relationship with her my whole life. So I won't put it on here. I'm sorry, OP, that sucks. I told her I hoped this, my pregnancy, would be something that would make us closer together, but that ultimately she hadn't changed at all from when she blocked me before, and then I blocked her. A few hours, not even, later, a friend of mine, as well as a cousin of mine, texted me asking me if I had seen what my mom posted on her Facebook.
Oh no.
I would have said, nope, I'm unbothered by my mother.
I don't actually care. Goodbye.
They ended up sending me a screenshot of the post, and it ended up being a whole rant about me and her announcing my pregnancy to the world just because she was upset. I'll include a picture of the post, but please leave any personal details out due to not wanting any more drama. I've battled with my own emotions ever since then regarding if I should or shouldn't unblock her.
No.
Definitely don't unblock her.
No, don't unblock her if you're just gonna unblock her to be like, why would you do that? Blah blah blah. Take that down. Like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do anything. So just
Probably-
what's done is done. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It sucks. Keep her blocked. Announce it when you're ready. You still don't have to go and say like, oh well, she's announced it, so now I have to go tell everyone. It's like, no.
Yeah, there's if you unblock her, that's probably exactly what she wants because she probably realized that none of her messages or calls were going through, and then was like, fine. If you're gonna block me, fine. I'll just
Yeah.
just keep her blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I the a-hole or overreacting? What, for blocking your mom for hijacking your pregnancy
Nope.
announcement and talking to you like that? Absolutely not.
No.
There's an update. Before we get into it, though, what conditions need to be met for an unblocking to happen here?
I mean, she would have to come and be like, I'm so sorry. I've been going to therapy. I've realized the errors of my way.
Yeah, I think therapy would probably be a precondition for that.
Yeah.
Like,
Otherwise, she's just like, absolutely nothing has changed.
right, it would just be like I'm saying whatever I need to say right now to get you
To get access to my
get what I
grandkid.
want. I'll do whatever. I am now 36 weeks pregnant, and the plan is to induce me at 37 weeks due to the size of my daughter being on the smaller side, for those who may want an update on my pregnancy. Also, for clarification on the update, my mom lives in a different state than I do and has since I was about 11 or 12 years old. One thing that happened was my mom ended up creating a new Instagram account and tried to request to follow me on it.
No.
My account on Instagram is private, so she couldn't see anything I've posted.
Good.
I didn't accept it or deny it, and still to this day, it's been sitting in my follow requests because I'm not personally ready to extend an olive branch to her myself.
Then you might never be ready, and that's okay.
Yeah, you don't ever have to. Like I said, she's got to do stuff
Yeah. It's on
before
her to
she's
fix herself.
earned the olive branch.
I agree.
I didn't flat out block her just in case she tried to message me apologizing or even just acknowledging where she may have gone wrong. I also didn't accept her request because I didn't want her to access anything I've posted, which I mentioned later on as well in this post, and use it to post on her own accounts to make the world believe she's been actively involved this entire time. A few weeks ago, maybe 3 to 4 at most, I had a friend, Amber, who lives in the state my mom does, contact me to tell me that my mom came into her job which isn't out of the ordinary since she works at a local store in the area my mom lives in. Amber knows what happened between my mom and me, as well as other family members who live in the same state. I made it known to everyone who lives around her that I didn't want my mom to be given any information on me, my daughter, or my pregnancy, due to knowing my mom would just use it to post on Facebook and act like she's the greatest parent in the world, something she's done in the past. My mom walked up to the register and began to try to lie to Amber to make it seem like she did nothing wrong, stating that she just messaged to give a call to my grandfather and that I just started to freak out on her. She then proceeded to ask Amber what name me and my boyfriend had decided for the baby, as well as any other information on me. Amber acted as if she had no information, telling her that we had a list of names, but that I didn't tell her what we chose. You should have just lied.
Yeah.
In the moment, you should have lied and said a bunch of stuff that's not true at all.
Rain.
We're going to name her Shanice.
Her name's Apple Tree.
We're naming her Beetroot.
Her name's Bilbo.
And then you should have been like, yeah, and OP actually just had to amputate their leg,
Yeah.
which is normal for pregnancy right now. I don't know. It's kind of a trend. Yeah, just say a bunch of stuff, and then when she posts on Facebook,
Lie.
everyone will be like, what are you
What are
talking
you
about?
talking
You're
about?
unhinged.
You're crazy, lady.
Yeah, can't fault Amber for not,
Yeah.
got to be able to stick and move to get that one.
She's just not quick enough. Gotta think on your feet.
A few days after that, Amber gets a message from my mom mentioning she'd like Amber to ask me for the link to my registry so she can see and figure out things I wanted or needed for the baby, which wouldn't be a big deal in hindsight, except for the part she specifically told Amber that she didn't need to tell me that she was asking for it. The message was left unread, according to my knowledge, especially given the fact I hadn't sent Amber the registry in general, because I didn't want anyone to feel obligated to send or buy anything if they couldn't. And by the way, I want you to feel obligated to listen to full episodes of stories like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
You have to do it.
You're obligated now to search OK Storytime, where you can listen to over 71 days worth of stories.
Oh boy.
It's a lot of stories.
It's a lot of stories.
It's over 2 months worth of
It's
stories.
a lot of story.
We have a little bit more story left. Do we have anything to add, folks?
No, I think what OP's doing is great. I think keep her on an information diet, keep her blocked, keep your distance.
Agreed. Rilito?
She's about to lose some weight in a informational sense. The mother.
Yes.
Yeah, she's got no more information. Wait, let's finish this.
Woo.
I still haven't been in contact with my mom ever since those first messages, and she has done everything in her power to avoid coming to me directly to apologize or even ask how I've been doing. She just tried to go through one of my friends or even asked one of my aunts, her sister, if they'd heard anything or spoken to me. I don't feel as though I'm the a-hole in this situation, but the closer I get to delivering, the more I feel the sadness and somewhat guilt of not having my own mom around during a time I always imagined she would be the biggest supporter for me. Ilf. But
Yeah.
c'est la vie, because your mom sucks.
No, it sucks that you don't have that, like just don't have a supportive mom, but yeah, don't bring your mom back into the fray thinking that she'll be that, because she's not that, unfortunately. And that's the loss, is that you don't have a mom who is that,
That is true.
like can fill that role.
That is a very astute,
Yeah.
very astute summary right there. Yeah.
But we got another story coming right up. I cut off my stepmother over a stupid fight.
Oh, that's stupid.
My stepmother and I have a very complicated and somewhat effed up history, but I understand that I'm not innocent in some of the problems we have had. My bio parents split before my birth, so I have never known them together. Even to this day, they will actively avoid being at the same place, activity, event, room. By the way, this comes from Old Bit 1163, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. When I was in first grade, my siblings and I moved out of our struggling mom's place to my dad's. One of the only times they have ever compromised that I know of. They amicably decided on a 50-50 custody agreement on the books, but we were primarily at our dad's. He quickly got remarried to a woman who I will call Sharon for the story. Sharon and I didn't get off on the right foot. Some of it was because I was so young and saw her as someone trying to replace my mom. This was only made worse by seeing my mom always feel left out, as if Sharon was getting to parent when she wasn't. Aside from that, Sharon struggled with heavy drinking and would have serious mood swings. I remember the first time I knew she was wasted around me. She leaned in to whisper in my ear in front of my dad and family to say, "You're a witch." But she went, "You're a witch." She went, "You're a witch, Harry.
You're a witch.
This was just after we had moved in. Slowly, we grew closer as my mom and dad pretty much always had to work, but my stepmother always showed up for me. She would even make my dad show up to things he would never have before. We grew close as I learned about some of her problems and tried to help as best I could as a child. She didn't always make the right decisions, but she showed up for me when no one else did. So I began to love her. She would bring me to family events, do arts and crafts with me, and teach me how to bake. I would follow her around and hide her keys when she'd been drinking. Eventually, she went through an inpatient regular use program, and when she got out, I attended a few AA meetings with her. During this time, however, there would still be occasions where Sharon would really hurt me emotionally. Her niece would lie about me saying or doing something mean, and she would always believe it and punish me. She told me I had a terrible voice when singing as a child. Dang! She grounded me when I didn't swim in a trash puddle with her. Huh? She told me I was all fat and jiggled my arm when I tried to justify weighing more than my older siblings by saying, "Whatever, it's all muscle," among many other things. When I was a teen, I saw her punt my oldest sibling out, and while I agree he was being a butt, when she called my dad to tell him about it, she had to get through several minutes of holding on the phone and talk to his secretary and didn't start crying until she got to my dad. I can justify that as letting yourself be vulnerable around your partner or holding it in until they could talk. But I remember seeing the way it all went down, and it felt very manipulative on her part and very calculated. After him, it was her nephew who stayed, and they got into a fight about school, and she punted him out. When I was 16, we clashed hard, but I never understood why. I'd come home from school, and she would be watching TV. Something tame, probably Oprah or Ellen. I'd walk in and say, "Hey," and she would pause the TV and just stare at me until I left, very clearly letting me know she didn't want me there. I can't remember why, but at 16, she punted me out after some sort of fight. I'm confused because it feels like OP said, like, sometimes she was nice and then sometimes she sucks, right? Was she talking about the same people?
And I'm sorry, I just can't imagine the universe in which I walk in and go, "Hey," and somebody gives me the evil eye and I don't go, "So what's that about, huh?" Unless I already know I'm over them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, "Hey, you look like you want me to just be buried underneath the dirt. What's going on?"
I'm just confused because it seems like we start with Sharon being awful, and then they grew close, and Sharon always shows up for OP. They like love each other, but then she's awful.
Well, it seems like the theme is
really
whenever the
confusing.
kids become older, they get exiled
I guess so.
by the stepmom, right?
Yeah, Sharon.
So why is Dad letting this
I
happen?
don't know.
Where's Dad?
Where's Papa? It's been almost 20 years, sorry, but I know for a fact it was a dumb fight. My dad called me when I was at work and told me I had to come home, but I could hear Sharon saying in the background, not to come back without an apology. I said I wouldn't be coming back. So my dad shut off my phone in hopes it would force me to come back. I got a new phone plan, co-signed by my mom, and I stayed with my mom through the summer and mostly couch hopped.
Why do you have to
Why are you
couch hop?
couch hopping? Why wouldn't you just stay with your mom? You're 16, no? What? At the end of the summer, my dad told me that if I didn't come back, he would tell my school that I didn't live with him anymore and I would have to change districts in my last 2 years. Jeez, your dad sucks too. I moved back in with them and worked hard the last 2 years towards being the first person in my family to graduate. When I was 18, we got into a new fight after I stayed home sick from school one day, had slept the entire day and hadn't left my room, as per our stay home from school sick agreement, where one must be bedridden and puking to stay home.
That was
my agreement too.
Yeah, it was like, well, if you're going to be sick, no fun allowed.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I'm already sick. Why? What am I?
Exactly.
What am I, Steve McQueen in The Great Escape? What are you trying to imprison me for?
My mom would never let me watch any TV if I was sick.
And look how you turned out.
At the very end of the day, I had woken up not necessarily feeling amazing, but better, and I had a huge presentation due the next day that I no longer had all day to work on or the school time to finish. So I picked up my laptop and had to look for my charger. When my stepmother asked what I was doing, I told her, and we got into a huge fight about her thinking I was faking and lying about being sick. You should cough on her and get her sick.
Yo, I'll be like, here's the test.
We'll see if that works.
Open your mouth.
Open it. Open up. We'll see in 2 days. This escalated to her punting me out again, and I wasn't able to find my laptop charger on the way out. By this point, the library was already closed, and without the money for a replacement charger, I wasn't able to work on the project until school the next morning. I'll cut off here and just say I failed the final project on several of the criteria, but luckily still passed due to the hard work I had put in previously. I feel like you should have said, hey, I got kicked out of my house.
Here's the lesson here, folks. And I remember being told this in high school and being like, what. You had plenty of time before the day before the project was due to get more work on the project done.
I disagree. As a procrastinator who did all of my work day before.
What did you just say?
A procrastinator.
So does that mean that you had no time at all to do it before?
Didn't say that, but if someone
that's
kicks me
all I'm
out
saying.
of my house when I'm trying to do my work the day before, as is my right. As is my right. They suck.
Well, you're right, I guess. But then, like, when something like this happens,
I wrote a
you get
10-page paper
you get a late
in
fail
a
project.
day, and that's my right.
You wrote it.
And I got 100. That's my right.
She did write it.
My right.
She
I
did
did
that.
write an outline before, so it wasn't completely done in a day.
Point being, yeah, whatever.
I graduated high school and was staying in my then 35-year-old friend's spare bedroom. Sharon was told not to come to the ceremony, but of course showed up. Get out, Sharon. While I hated seeing her, I also respected that she was my father's wife and had been with me and us all through a lot, so I didn't confront her. Yeah, she kicked you out multiple times. She is the a lot.
Yeah.
She's the a lot that you're dealing with.
It's true.
After that was college. She made it clear I wasn't welcome to come do laundry in the house I grew up in and told me to change my address, even though I was in a dorm, so she didn't have to see me at all. I dropped out of college and focused on work, going through separate struggles including anorexia, homelessness, a car accident, as well as my lifelong anxiety and depression getting much worse. Why can't you live with your mom?
It doesn't sound like she was available either.
Kat, no, wait, that's my point. I was my point, Kat. I'm saying that not
Also,
only...
I did that, to be clear, I did. People being like, some people were, I did that every time.
Yeah. No.
I learned that lesson through being the guy who's like, if only I had done a single thing before the day before.
Yeah, no, my point was that that's her right. And also she had extenuating circumstances too. That was my point. Eventually, life settles down. I start making some money where I'm able to afford a place to live, and my boyfriend moves in with me. Many stories in between, but long story short, we end up in a different apartment, pregnant, and get married. I tell my dad not to bring his wife. It's a justice of the peace 10-guest type wedding. He brought her. I literally would, if you don't want someone to come and you really don't want someone to come, let's get security. Let's get someone to say, get out.
If you're
Scram.
anticipating the potential that someone might show up you don't want, you need to have people that you can go, that one, and then they'll just
Tackle.
remove them from the premises.
And I didn't make a fuss, just tried to enjoy our moment. During the next few months, Sharon and my dad began to purchase hundreds of dollars worth of stuff for our baby on the way, nearly everything on our registry and then some. They came to the hospital and held my firstborn. I would not let these people around my child after they made me go homeless, kicked me out as a teenager. I would not let them anywhere near my kid. I was still very wary of having a relationship with her for a while, but slowly I began to write off our problems as something most young women go through with their mothers and mother figures. I felt like maybe we butted heads because I was too headstrong or talked back too much. And now that I was older, I could have a more mature relationship with her. She kicked you out as a teenager. She is not capable of having a mature relationship. You are. She is not. So as my son grew through the first year, I eventually started to rely on her and trust her again. I would never, ever trust this person. She also became the only person who would even help us with him when I worked. As she was the one most often available and always willing to lend a hand, she became basically the only one helping with our son. At one point, her sobriety became an issue again, and she fell off the wagon. I made it clear that I wouldn't be dropping off my son to her when she was in that state, as well as worrying about her mental health and well-being in general. During this time, I did everything I could at work to not need a sitter or rely on others, but again, we had no one else. Sharon and my dad eventually told me things were better, and I started bringing my son around again. When I had my second, she agreed to take care of them both, and for a short time it went on like that. When my husband started a new job, all of his hours changed, and I asked Sharon again if she would be okay with this change. She said she was not able to take on the extra load of watching the kids for longer, which I completely understood. This, of course, led me to having to make changes at work. I had to step down just before a better position opened up. I had been working towards this for 15 plus years, which was really hard for me. At the same time, Sharon had a mini stroke and had to go through intense speech and physical therapy to regain the ability to speak correctly, and for the most part, did. At this point, 1 day a week at work was too much for Sharon to commit to, so I left my job and became a stay-at-home mom, though it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. While I was home a lot, I would often visit Sharon with my kids. I would always ask before coming or be invited. She would make us lunch, and we would talk about whatever was going on in our lives. She would have some health issues, and sometimes we wouldn't see her for a while, but we had gotten along well for the past 9 or so years with no problem, so I figured during those times she was taking a break from us or just didn't feel well. I know this next part will sound ridiculous to some people, but this is what happened, and this is what I need input on. During the last presidential campaign, Sharon started bringing up politics a lot more. I have very strong opinions on pretty much everything. Everyone who knows me knows this. Because of this, I never bring up politics with my family or people I know well, but I can't help but join the conversation if it's brought up. I have gotten better at walking away when it doesn't involve me. Basically, we ended up having an intense argument over it. We didn't talk for days, and my dad ended up calling me to talk about the argument a couple weeks later. He said we should make up, and Sharon was expecting an apology for calling her a liar. He and I talked for a while, and I explained what happened. After, he sighed and said she's been watching a lot of podcasts lately, and it's been changing the way she feels about things. I swear I'm not making this up. I don't think you are. That sounds pretty
It sounds like the most normal way people become brain rotted.
This is crazy. Not that crazy.
Can you believe it?
It's been 6 months. They did come to a birthday party for one of my kids, but said nothing to my kids on their birthday. Many important life events came and went, and while I continued to reach out via text with pictures, there was no attempt to reconnect. We saw Sharon at the grocery store. We live in the same town, and she waved and left my toddler standing there without coming over. She drove away, and as I walked through the grocery store, it finally dawned on me how hurt I was. When it was happening to me growing up, I always could convince myself that it was my fault. I have written her countless apology letters for different arguments, and I was always in trouble, so I know I was no golden child. This treatment towards my kids, who were nothing but innocent in our fight, broke my heart. At that moment, walking around the store, I began mentally drafting a new letter. This time, however, it wouldn't be an apology. Fighting tears, she actually came back to the grocery store, saying she had to rush to the vet's because her pet's meds were ready, but came back after because she felt sad she missed my child. She tried to hug her, but my daughter was anxious about it, but I hugged her and started crying. She left quickly after that. In my opinion, she wasn't rushing off anywhere except to stonewall us, but felt bad doing it to my daughter's face. After discussing it with my therapist and several weeks, I sent a text to Sharon about how I love her as a mother, but felt she didn't care for me the same. And we're going to pause that because there was a lot going on right there. I think it's really good that you're going to therapy because that was going to be my suggestion if you could afford it. Seems like you can, which is great. But yeah, I mean, like, you have a really complicated relationship with this person. It seems like she's always been on and off in her support for you, which is really, really tough to deal with, and also just kind of like confusing as a kid. Try and figure out how you feel about this person who you do have fond memories with, but also have very traumatic memories of her kicking you out of the house.
Yeah.
So, definitely go to therapy. And yeah, I think at some point you might have to severely limit contact with this woman.
Yeah, I think she's not going to be good for the kids.
No.
I don't see it being like she had one moment where she was like, okay, maybe that was a little overboard, but it's like, you just like don't do that from the beginning.
The more time that went by with no attempt on her part to even ask about the kids, the more upset I was over this, that I was open to talking to her, but that it would have to be through text or writing for now, so I can think about my responses and answer when I had the emotional energy to respond without getting upset. She said she didn't know how to respond to that, and that she wasn't avoiding us as she had responded, one-word answers, to the pictures or updates I sent. that she wasn't open to messaging more, but we would call if we needed anything from them. About a month ago, I saw my dad and Sharon at a block party, and my dad invited me to his Labor Day party. I asked which day, and he said Saturday or Sunday. Sunday. You're not having a Labor Day party on Labor Day?
Weak.
To which I said, that's great, because I promised Joanna I'd be at her birthday party on Saturday. He was excited, and it was really nice seeing him because of the fighting. We haven't had many chances to see each other. I asked him later again to confirm it would be Sunday, and he said, for sure. I just received the invite for their party, and it's on Saturday, essentially at the same time as my close friend's birthday party. When I texted my dad about it, he just said he had thought it would be Sunday at first. I get that they can't arrange a party around me, but I can't help but think Sharon moved the party because I said I wouldn't be able to make it. Not to mention, it would also be Sharon's birthday the day of the party. You would think that would make sense for a party, but normally she hides. She hates tension on her birthday. So I feel like they're going out of their way to make sure I can't go, or at least can't stay long. The invite said nothing about her birthday. My dad said I could drop the kids off, but that really bothered me because they've been avoiding all of us, and that's all my family I now have to miss. But you never have to miss more full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Do it.
There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Keep your distance.
Keep your distance. Have you ever talked to your dad about this? That's what I want to know, because it seems like your dad has been so complicit in his wife just icing you out whenever she wants.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is not something that should be, written off as like, oh, this is all Sharon's fault. Like, it is very much your dad's fault too. Your dad also kicked out a 16-year-old, like, yeah,
multiple.
He tried to get you back in, but didn't kick out the person who kicked you out. So it's kind of clear where his loyalties lie.
It was untenable for a long time.
I definitely, limit contact severely. Your kids come first.
Yep, kids come first, keep going to therapy.
Other context, friends of the family who have known me and Sharon for a long time all side with me. But my husband said I should just apologize so that we can make up. That I'm making a bigger deal about it than I have to? Does your husband not know everything that you've been through? Because I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Gotta let him know.
And that he thinks I get too heated and loud when I talk about politics and things. It's really not about the politics thing. It's about a lifetime of her abandoning you whenever she was a little bit upset. That's what the problem is.
That's what it sounds like.
I admit the last bit is definitely true, but I had already apologized for getting loud. However, I stood strong on not apologizing for calling her out on the lies. So am I overreacting to a stupid fight and should just apologize for saying she lied so my kids can have their grandparents around again? Or am I right to just stay clear so my kids don't get hurt like I have? And there are some comments. Comment 1 says, hey, coming from someone who has a stepmom whose relationship with me has never been great, but is conflicted with feelings because she was once okay or there for me at one point. I understand. I was punted out at 18 by my stepmom because I refused to be a second parent to my younger sister when she was fully capable. And she got pissed about it, called me a witch a bunch of times, and gave me 1 month to get out. And it was this time that made me realize a couple things. The bonding I'd had with her when I was 12 didn't matter anymore. There are things that I feel that these family members do that are just horrific, that they feel should be excused because they're family. Agreed. Her kicking out a 16-year-old onto the streets so that you are couch hopping is despicable.
Disgusting.
And after me getting punted out, I started to realize I don't owe anyone anything. What I'm trying to get at is that you guys have a history of her messing up, trying to fix it, things getting good, then things getting bad, and then things are like how they used to be. And at some point, you can't write off every wrong they do. You gotta recognize a pattern. You don't owe anyone anything. No matter how silly people can make you feel about why you go no contact, it doesn't matter. It comes down to you and how you are going to feel battling this, because it won't just go away. I'm sure some memories your stepmom and your kids might make might help ease some of this tension at some point, but at what cost? If I were you, I don't know how old your kids are, but I'd wait some time. I'd let yourself fully heal from everything you've dealt with your whole life, and it sounds like your stepmom can be a big trigger. I think you'd be surprised who you might become when you start to prioritize yourself. And if you decide to talk to her after you feel okay about things, that's okay too. But respect your peace. Your kids might question naturally why your stepmom, grandma, might not be around, but the older they get, they can make their own decisions to see the situation. Or you could always have your kids be in contact, but not you. But it just sounds like to me you've been hurting about some of this for a little too long, and your snapping point may have been something less significant, objectively, than some of the other things that had happened. Yeah, that's the point. It's like your husband saying, oh, well, like, it was just like a little political debate. It's like, no, it was years and years of her just neglecting you and just emotionally abusing you.
It's like being like World War I started because of one guy. No, there's an
of course
entire.
not.
That's just the end of the fuse.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
so much more context to that.
I hope whatever you do, your husband will back you up and you can enjoy some peace. And folks, that's the end of that story. Good luck, OP, and I really hope your husband gets on the same page because he just does not seem very in tune with your emotions at all.
And that is true.
Yeah.
Got another story. My brother's girlfriend made an awkward joke. Now it's causing tension between us.
Awkward.
March 27th, 2025. Some background. My brother, John, and I are very different people and always have been. I'm a nerdy guy who likes playing Dungeons and Dragons and works from home coding websites, and he's always been sporty and has one of those corporate office jobs where I swear half of his work is just playing golf and going to fancy lunches.
Lame.
We didn't always get along, but we're pretty good these days. And by the way, this comes from user ElephantNo3139. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Golf and fancy lunch is not lame, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Dang.
Uno reverse.
He started dating his girlfriend, who we'll call Jane, a few years back, during what was a pretty low point for me in life. I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship that had ended anything but amicably, was burning out of the career I went to college for, and in general, was about 2 paychecks away from having to move in with my folks. The stress of it all was taking a toll on my body. I went from the slightly chubby I've been my whole life to just straight up fat. And shortly after the breakup, I had an anxiety attack so bad it put me in the hospital.
Oh.
It was not a good time to get to know me. I was basically the picture of an F-up older brother. But I turned it around. I got the mental health assistance I needed to diagnose and treat some long-standing issues. With that as a springboard, I started exercising more and eating better, finding cooking to be a good hobby that also led me to eating less takeout and processed foods. I'm still no Adonis, still got a bit of a tummy, but I'm much stronger and feel better. I was able to quit my job and find a new one in a field that I never considered, but that I found I loved enough that I'm going back to school to work on a PhD in the fall, so I can pursue it to a greater extent. And finally, I started dating again. Someone,
Ooh.
we'll call her
Flo. Rida.
who was a better match for me than my ex.
Yay.
Yay.
Progression.
Shout out to finding people better than your ex.
Yeah.
I just meant for
Yeah.
Shout
Yeah. Everybody hates that guy, dude.
I was your ex. Well, now it's awkward. I was talking about OP.
Awkward. This all brings us to the night things went wrong. We have a family gathering at my parents' house, extended family and all, plus Jane and Flo. I'm making dinner a beef Wellington.
A beef Wellington. Wow, that's gonna take a while.
What are you, Gordon Ramjes?
That was funny. That was funny.
Everyone is raving about my food. I also did dinner this past Thanksgiving as well.
Ooh la la.
And also my recent glow up, my new job, and the program I got to, etc. I'm smiling politely and mostly just trying to do a bunch of dinner prep while they won't get out of my way. Then Jane says, yeah, never thought I picked the wrong brother, but I'm starting to think I might have.
Oh, she said that about you. She was like, I wish I had you. She wishes she had you, 'cause you cooked.
She's like, I'm just joking.
How do you
just
respond
joking.
to that? How do you respond to that on the fly? Yeah.
On a real level, wait, say that to me.
What was the
Chop,
line?
chop, 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 chop,
Ugh,
chop, 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 chop.
I think
chop,
I
chop,
picked the wrong brother.
Chop, 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 chop. What?
Hibachi.
You could hear a pin drop. I said nothing. Again, just awkwardly laughed at what I assumed to have been a bad joke. Jane's face immediately changed to the look of someone who had only just realized their F up. John looked pissed, and the two of them left the kitchen shortly after.
Dang. She's like, no, babe, I swear, I love your cooking. I didn't mean anything by it.
Yeah, no, it's just a
No,
joke.
it was just a joke.
It's just that now your older brother's better than you in every way.
Yeah, he like really put a lot of work into himself, and now like he is objectively better than you, but like I don't want better. I want worse.
I want you.
I want you, the worst option.
From what I could see, she seemed to be trying to apologize to him while he looked really hurt. My relatives said nothing, not immediately anyway. Flo just kind of winced, and later told me that it was really awkward having to stand there, but she didn't know what else to do that wouldn't have escalated things or put me on the spot. That was over 2 months ago, and both John and Jane avoid me like the plague. Not even a text since then. Whenever I meet up with my relatives, they badmouth her over it, and while I think Jane did F up saying that, I really do think she was just making a bad joke.
I honestly agree. I feel like
Yeah.
like I've heard people make that joke before.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's a bad joke. Probably wouldn't make it. But like people make bad jokes all the time. It's not like she wants to cheat on her partner for OP. It's probably just talking about his cooking skills and like her husband doesn't cook.
I was going to smash that comment.
Dang, well it's too late.
I was going to go,
I think that if anything
you said,
happens.
dang, well, it's too late. Shut up. No, that's what you said,
Oh.
not what I'm saying to you. No, I'm sorry. Then I interrupted you and you, oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah, people make bad jokes.
People make bad jokes.
Personally, I think they're overreacting. This aside, I think she's probably the first person he's ever dated who was a fit for him in terms of personality and lifestyle. The only person being normal about it is Flo, who thinks it was weird, but like me, just thinks it's a dumb thing to say. No jealousy. She knows Jane ain't my type. How do I clear the air with Jane and John and get people to stop bringing this up? I'm sick of hearing about it and just want things to go back to how they were before. Right now, it just feels like a dark cloud over all of our interactions. And there is a small update saying, message John grabbing adult sodas over the weekend. Will update later. In the meantime, some clarifying info for some of the other comments. Jane is a very nice person and she really cares for John. She's been with him through some difficult times, including a period where work separated the two of them for 3 months, and they're otherwise attached at the hip. She does have what some call a lack of a filter. We've known that for a while. But she'd absolutely never leave him for me. Why my relatives won't let it go? Probably because they're a bunch of old Italian Catholics who like to gossip. Snaps. Which, incidentally, is probably why they didn't like the joke in the first place.
Yeah.
My brother and I have a pretty good relationship as adults and aren't especially competitive. My folks and relatives don't favor one of us over the other, though admittedly they do understand my brother's career path better than mine. I agree with a number of comments that the impetus of the joke was that I'm a good cook, especially when it comes to being celebratory feasts.
Yeah, clearly.
John is okay in the kitchen, but he's the kind of guy for whom a fancy meal just means picking up a more expensive cut of steak. I really don't think it has anything to do with me being the hot brother now, as a few comments suggested.
I literally think it was just about the food.
It's just a joke.
It was just a joke.
It's just a joke.
That's kind of crazy that they're like blowing up this entire family over this very insignificant joke.
Yeah.
That's the type of joke that everyone's like,
I literally just would have gone, ha ha.
Yeah, and then you move on, and then she feels super awkward because she knows that her joke didn't land, and that's her punishment.
Yeah. Or if
And
you're like
everything,
me,
and you move on.
you don't have any shame about it. You just make the next one.
Yeah, you
and
just
the
keep
next one.
throwing spaghetti at the wall.
And the next one. John and I have always looked very different. Comparing us would be more of a matter of personal preference than any kind of objective hotness scale. He's tall with a runner's build, and I'm a few inches shorter with a wide build and more visible muscles, as weightlifting is my main form of exercise. Lastly, not to toot my own horn, but I've never had any issues getting dates, barring the aforementioned year-long period where my life was falling apart. so I must have been doing something right.
Ooh, toot that horn. Toot, toot.
Lastly, as some have said, I probably could have saved everyone some awkwardness by playing along with Jane's comment with a sorry, Flo got to me first, or something else similar. I go into what Flo dramatically calls the kitchen death drive while cooking complicated meals, where I'm laser focused on the task at hand to the exclusion of all else, and my responses to questions tend to be short, curt, and even a bit rude. It's totally normal.
You're focused.
You're in
You
the
don't
kitchen.
have time for jokes, especially bad jokes.
Too many cooks in this here kitchen. Get out of my kitchen right now.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I would have tried to help salvage the bad joke, but I was searing a big, expensive piece of tenderloin at the moment, so my thoughts were elsewhere.
Thoughts were on the tenderloin.
Yeah, your thoughts were on your Wellington and
we
making
know exactly
it well.
where your thoughts were. They were in the dough.
There's
in the meat.
There's an update.
In the veg.
And in your mushroom mince.
Yes.
There's an update 3 days later.
Let's hit it.
Met up with John at a sports bar we go to sometimes when our dad is in town. Shot the crap for a little bit before I asked him if everything was cool. He didn't really know what I was talking about at first, and I had to remind him that weird thing at the family dinner, and he immediately knew what I was talking about. I asked if we were all right, if they were all right, and lastly, what we should do about our nosy Catholic relatives gossiping about all this crap. First off, he confirmed what I and most of y'all thought was true. Jane was just talking about my cooking exclusively.
Ovulationlessly.
Ovulationlessly. She's a big fan. It's actually the reason she came to that gathering in the first place. So that's good to hear.
She really loves your cooking.
She's just there for the beef Wellington.
And if she left your brother, it would just be for your cooking.
Nothing to do with my physique, though John did congratulate me on the additional weight I'd lost since the whole ordeal. Second, John's issue with Jane's joke had nothing to do with the idea of her leaving him for me, or that he'd lost some prestige as the athlete in our family or anything like that. Something I didn't mention in the original post, because I didn't think it was important, is that John and I grew up middle class while Jane's family is loaded. Not billionaires, but she graduated from an Ivy League school with no student loans.
Ooh, dang.
Which she's turned into a well-paying and highly specialized tech job.
Got money.
She got the money. She and John go on lots of vacations together, have a very nice apartment in a very expensive part of the city, all that good stuff. The thing is, while John does pretty well for himself at work, he's not making nearly as much as she is and doesn't have old family money to fall back on. Trying to keep up with her has been putting a significant dent in his savings. Apparently, he's been psyching himself up to talk to her about how they may need to make some lifestyle adjustments so he can put more money away in savings, and was worried how that might go. Hearing her say that I might be a better option after hearing about my new, to his mind, high-earning PhD program was the sort of thing that came at exactly the wrong time. So he had to walk away. I did have a little laugh at that. This PhD will open a lot of doors for me, but it's definitely not going to make me a millionaire. Adding to the sting of that, while he and I don't have much of a rivalry, he does still have some insecurity about me being the smart one of the two of us. I say this with all the love in my heart. John is an extremely intelligent guy, but you'd never know that from just talking to him.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. He sounds like an idiot.
You're Rain Manning your brother right now.
Dang.
He's a whiz with numbers.
Oh.
You're
Yeah,
Rain
you're
Manning
your brother.
He's a whiz with numbers and knows more about corporate finance than nearly anyone I've ever met at any age. He also speaks with the vocabulary and goofy demeanor of a frat boy.
I know a person like that. I know people like that.
Yeah, I know people like that. So on top of the anxiety about his rich girlfriend, thinking he's too broke to hang out, he was a little frustrated about the idea of a doctorate putting more perceived distance between us. He apologized for that jealousy, and I told him it was fine, and if folks were giving him crap, he could tell them he wasn't going to look over their stock portfolios anymore.
Yeah.
He also said that he and Jane spoke about the money, and she took it very well. The reason he hadn't been in touch lately was because they'd been looking for a more affordable apartment to move to when their lease is up. And by the way, the lease is never up. On full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to all of the juicy, delicious, drama-filled episodes we got just waiting for you there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like this is going well. he just needed to have a conversation with his brother and realize, oh, it wasn't really all about that joke at all.
It's amazing what happens when you sit down and have a conversation with somebody
Conversation.
instead
Little
of
communication.
imagining what they're thinking.
Because you had all of these thoughts inside your head about what he was doing, about why he, wasn't talking to you. And then you realized they were all just that.
They were all
Thoughts.
just fairy dust.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that was left was how to handle the extended family. Apparently, John didn't know they were still on about that, largely because whenever he and Jane see them, they just talk about how Flo has too many piercings and swears too much. That gossip was news to me, so we mutually said, oh, F them, and decided to continue not really letting what they say about our partners get to us.
Yes.
Yes!
Yes. Let the old Italian Catholics gossip and you guys just live your best life.
Yes, please do that more. Everyone out there,
Everyone
do that.
everywhere, do that.
Do that more. Instead, we agreed to spend more time, just the four of us.
Heck yeah.
And before we left for the night, John did ask me for a few of my recipes.
Heck yeah.
And that's
Well, there you go.
end of that story.
All's well that ends well.
You sharing recipes,
Jane
dog.
doesn't want you. John and you are still brothers, and Flo seems cool as heck. But that's the end of that story and the end of this episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you,
And
see you tomorrow.